Hello, I'm Doug Benedict, and welcome to the Butler Esports interview series, where we're interviewing sports leaders, owners, and industry experts in the evolving world of esports. Today's interview is with Joey Gawrysiak. Joey is a graduate of University of Georgia, where he received his doctorate of philosophy in sports management and policy. Joey is associate professor and program director of the esports program at Shenandoah University. He is also the co-founder of GHS Esports Solutions, specializing in collegiate esports program development, curriculum, and event management. Welcome, Joey.
Thanks for having me, Doug. Looking forward to the conversation and talking about esports for a while.
Absolutely. Aren't we all? So how'd you get started professionally?
Wow. I got started because I'm a gamer. I grew up playing games. That's kind of the short part of it. But the long story is that at University of Georgia, I competed on the Halo team. And I was studying sport management while I was there. So I've always been like a sports junkie growing up, but I've also always played video games. And so when you put those two things together, esports kind of comes out of that. And so I was competing at University of Georgia in a game called Halo, which was my jam. I still love playing it. Not 2 or 3, the original Halo with the Xbox controllers. Lots of fun. And so, to me, gaming was a lot of fun. And I didn't realize, fast forward 15, 16 years later, I could be actually working in the industry like this. And so that really gave me that push and that passion for gaming. But I still enjoyed the teaching side of things. I still enjoyed competition and sport. And so that kind of led me to where I am today, where I'm writing curriculum. I'm teaching courses in esports and in sport management a little bit too. I'm researching esports. I get to be the program director here at Shenandoah University, where I built the program from scratch. And so really, really cool just to be able to put your stamp on the industry, because it's such a new industry and it's exciting and it's fun. And it combines the passions that I have, which is sports and gaming. And so I literally have the best job in the world, where I come to work every day and I talk about sports and gaming. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And so that early passion for sports, early passion for just playing video games, that kind of led me to where I am today, and it has really opened the doors for everything that's been available to me on the competitive side, the coaching side, the curriculum side, the consulting side, and it's a lot of work. But so is sports. It's at night. It's on the weekends. It's weird hours. But esports is so similar in a lot of ways to sports that really, again, combines those passions and really gives me the opportunity to kind of fuel my desires and make a lot of things from scratch and things that didn't exist. And so it's constantly exciting and just a lot of fun to be around.
So when you were competing, was this like the goal at that time, or did you somehow, go somewhere else and then come back to it?
When I was competing, all I thought was, hey, this is a lot of fun. I mean, I didn't have anything in mind looking forward, because this is like early 2000s when there really wasn't much out there as far as esports goes. There's a couple of small leagues out there. The Cyber Athlete Professional League was the big one. MLG was about to get started. But the grand prize when I was competing was like a case of energy drinks. It wasn't thousands of dollars or millions of dollars in some instances like it is today. And so I never thought it would be more than just, hey, this is a lot of fun. I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm playing video games. This is cool. We're playing against other people. We're traveling a little bit. I never thought it would turn into this. And about 10 years down the road, I was like, ooh, this is kind of picking up a little bit. Maybe I'll get into this some and do some research and write some articles. And, so it started picking up steam. But I'm telling you, I never thought esports would get to the point it is today, and it's awesome to see, and it's really exciting.
That sentiment is shared through many of the people that we've interviewed. That was never the end goal, but they somehow got there, right?
Right.
So before we get into Shenandoah and all that, you're consulting, your GHS, Esports Solutions. What is it? What do you do? Who are you working with?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a consulting company that really, as I started working in this space, we had a lot of people coming to us asking, how do we start this program? How do we, get a facility designed? How do we get the curriculum going? What kind of games do you play? What platforms? What publishers? So there are a lot of questions out there about esports, and there still are. But a lot of people just had no idea how to start things. And so I got with the other people that work here at Shenandoah, our instructor of esports, Chris Scroggins, and our assistant director of esports, Zach Harrington. So Harrington, Scroggins, Gawrysiak, there's your GHS. It's not the most groundbreaking name in the world. We were like, we have no idea what to call this. Let's go with our last names. And so we started this consulting company just so we could help out other programs to get off the ground, to educate them about what esports is. And we work with commercial enterprises as well as educational enterprises. And those are two very different goals, but we have expertise in designing facilities on the commercial standpoint. We also have expertise designing curriculum in the university or high school standpoint. And so, we just want to offer these services to as many people as we can for the betterment of the esports industry as a whole. Because, like I said earlier, there's a level of ignorance out there around esports. And I don't mean that negatively whatsoever. Ignorance just means lack of knowledge. And I was ignorant to esports, 5, 6, 7 years ago compared to what it is now. I'm still ignorant to a lot of things, like my car. I have massive ignorance around my car. No idea what's going on with that thing. That's why I take it to a shop. But esports, we're trying to kind of get rid of that ignorance gap that exists with esports and let people know this is what it is. Here are the opportunities that exist with esports. And so on the consulting side, we work with a number of different enterprises on the professional, the commercial, the educational, to help them just get off the ground, to educate them about what esports is, what it can be. On the educational side, how it benefits the students, what opportunities does it exist. On the commercial side, where does it fit in as a commercial enterprise? What makes you different than what's already out there? And so that's what we do, is we work with these companies from around the country to just help them out and help them get off the ground and give them this knowledge so they can make more informed decisions moving forward.
Absolutely. Sounds like the total package. So to Shenandoah, right?
Yeah.
How did you find your way to building the program? Were you in the right place at the right time?
Yes. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you're exactly right, Doug. I was in the right place at the right time. That, esports was starting to get bigger. I had been at Shenandoah for about 5 or 6 years at this point when we started really talking about esports. And I was working in sport management, teaching sport management, researching sport management, doing the whole professor thing for sport management. But I was teaching a gaming class for freshmen. We started a video game club. So there were some flavors of what was about to happen. But then about 3 years ago, some students, and this is what big part of it, students really had the interest to take it to the next level, right? They wanted to start a competitive team. And I said, absolutely, this sounds fantastic. I did this when I was in school. I would love for you all to do this, but I need the students to be interested to really get it off the ground so that it's not just me doing it, because it shouldn't be me. It should be a student-initiated concept, because that's really where the benefit is to the students. They know what they want more than I know what they want. And so once they kind of took leadership roles upon themselves, we were able to get things going with talking about what does a competitive team look like? What does a facility look like? What equipment do we use? What does an academic program possibly look like down the road? And so that's how we started getting going here at Shenandoah, because I had been doing research in gaming and esports. I had this club. I had some classes. I developed then one class in esports instead of just gaming in particular. And the university president from day one was on board with the idea to have esports at Shenandoah in the academic and the competitive capacity. And I'm telling you, when that president is on board, you can make anything happen, because that makes people just kind of fall in line like, yeah, that's a great idea. Even if they don't believe it, if the president believes it, they're like, oh yeah, fantastic. I love the idea, And so having her on board from day one was huge, because it kind of allowed us to grow and try things, knowing full well that not everything is going to be successful when you start a brand new program that's outside the box thinking, and it's innovative and it's different. And it's okay to have things that fail. There are some things that I would certainly change going forward, or looking back. If I were to do this again, I would change a lot of things about what we did. But a lot of it I'd keep, because we learned a lot along the way from those mistakes. And so that's really how we got going here, is that it was a perfect storm of me being in a place that kind of wants to be innovative, wants to try new things. Plus, I had done the research. I had the passion for gaming. I had students that wanted to help me get this started so that it was really student initiated. And so all those things really came together. And plus, esports was just starting to pick up at the collegiate level around the country, with like Robert Morris and like UC Irvine's, and those kind of schools had these early programs going. And so you could kind of see that the writing was on the wall, that this is going to happen. This is what this generation is passionate about. This is what they do. Let's use esports in an educational capacity to benefit our students, our current students and future students. And so that was really what happened, was just that perfect storm, the coming together of all these different angles to really help me get in this position and build it to where it is now.
Absolutely. Sounds like a crazy story, I guess. So then the vision of it, I mean, you've been around for a little bit, right? So What is that giant picture you're painting in your head of what what it looks like, I guess, and what it's going to look like in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question because I have a kind of a different vision than what a lot of esports programs do across the country. So Shenandoah is a small Division III NCAA school. It's a liberal arts institution, about 4,000 total students. This is way different than the University of Georgia or Butler. It's just a different kind of university. So obviously we have different goals and different kind of things we're looking to do with any program. And so I wanted to fit into the mission of what Shenandoah does already. But what my main goal, my vision, is not to win a national championship. Do I want to win a national championship? Absolutely. I'd love to win Rocket League, Overwatch, League of Legends national championships every single year. Who wouldn't? That's the competitive side of me. But the main vision, the main goal for the program is to give our students a high quality educational experience that's going to benefit them down the road, right? We're helping them grow and be well rounded individuals that can be successful in whatever they're going into by the time they graduate. And that's the point of college, right? We want our students to be successful when they graduate, whether it's in esports, in business, in a science setting, in an educational setting, whatever it is. We want to give our students the skills and the things needed to be successful at that next level. And esports plays a part of that because it gives our students here a chance to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right? It goes way beyond gaming here that, yes, they play video games on the competitive team, but they're learning skills like adaptability, teamwork, communication that are used across different disciplines. And so the vision here at SU is not necessarily be the best competitive team in the country. That'd be great as a byproduct. The vision is to produce well-rounded individuals and use esports as an educational opportunity to give students that chance, again, to be something bigger than themselves, to belong to a community of like-minded people where they can learn valuable lessons and skills and characteristics that will benefit them far beyond their playing days at a university, far beyond the classes they go to, that will help them 20, 30 years down the road. And so that's really everything we do is student-focused, big picture, looking down the road, what's going to help them be a well-rounded individual with a high-quality kind of collegiate experience.
Absolutely. Um, Obviously, I'm from a university, and you're from a university as well. And in the conversations we've had, we see these programs report in all different kinds of ways. Where do you kind of sit, with this division, that division? Who are you a part of, I guess is the question.
As far as at the university,
Yeah.
It's been complicated because we've been a part of a lot of different areas so far. So my jersey, I'm wearing our old school jersey today because I was talking about branding and esports in my esports class earlier today. So we started out as a club sport under student engagement at the university. I had a conversation with the athletic director here because I thought athletics sounded great. Again, sport background, love athletics. I think it sounded like a perfect place to be. But it really didn't make sense because esports is different than traditional sports, especially at the D3 level where, we don't offer scholarships. But if you're playing video games, sometimes you win scholarship dollars or prizes in the form of scholarships. And so, the funding for it, the fact that these students are potentially making money by playing this activity where football players, basketball players can't do that, it didn't really meld well with athletics. And so we were like, you know what? Let's not have it under athletics. Let's start student engagement. And that's where the funding is going to come from. That's where, the policy comes from. That's where we kind of fit in. But we found after about a month, we were like, we don't fit here either because we're more than a club. We're a varsity organization that has coaches, that has jerseys, that has, we pay for, the university pays for these students to travel to compete. It's not completely student run, which is what a club is. And so we didn't make sense in athletics, didn't make sense in student engagement. So we went to academics. And so actually we fall under the School of Business. It has the esports program. And that esports program at Shenandoah is the competitive side and the academic side. And I'm able to oversee both sides of that. So I oversee the entire program. And so all the decisions, all the funding, all the spending, everything goes through me. And it really streamlined the process. And a lot of schools don't do this. I think only about 8% of schools have it under academics because it doesn't make sense if they don't have any kind of academic program, but Shenandoah has an esports major and some other certificate programs and minors and so on. So it really made sense for everything just to fall under me as far as funding, marketing, branding, everything can go through me. So it really streamlines that process and makes it a lot easier to get things done in a really efficient manner. And so we've moved around a lot. We've been to a lot of different places. And I think we finally found a place where we fit at Shenandoah, but it changes from school to school. What makes sense at Shenandoah might not make sense at Butler, might not make sense at University of Georgia or the next school or the next school. And so one of the things I always tell people is do what makes sense for you. Do what makes sense for your institution. What are your values? What are your goals? Where does it make sense for you to fit in at your university as part of the larger experience? Because there's not like a one size fits all for esports on any level. And so we've been moving around trying to find our spot, but I think we finally found it, and I think we'll be nice and comfortable here for a while.
That's completely true. Everyone I talk to are all over the place. You're the first person I've talked to where you fall under academics, but it sounds to me like you did find where you're supposed to be. So the hot topic on everybody's mind, right? Especially us here at universities, COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
How's it affected you and the program there, and how's it affected your planning for this upcoming year and all that?
Doug, if you had a vaccine, I'd be your best friend right now because
I'd be a rich man too.
right. Oh my gosh, exactly right. It's funny because when COVID hit, obviously it's like everything stopped for like 2 weeks. That's at the university, the professional. That's like in life. Everything just kind of froze. We're like, what is happening? What do we do? How do we rebound and adjust going forward? And people think that esports wasn't as affected as other areas, which is true. But esports was still affected by COVID. There was still an impact because we couldn't compete in our arena anymore. We couldn't be on campus. And so not every student has access to the same equipment and the same internet that they had while they were here on campus able to compete. And so it really impacted who was playing, who could do things. First and foremost, we made sure that our students were healthy, that they were in a safe space, they were doing okay, physically, emotionally, everything, that they were just okay. And then we said, all right, well, let's figure out what we can do going forward. And so we made some adjustments and we found out who can still compete from home and with a reliable internet and the right kind of equipment. And we were able to keep competing. It just took us a while to get there. We compete under the National Association of Collegiate Esports, or NACE, the largest governing body for collegiate esports, 180 schools. And so I worked on the competition council last year. And so I was in charge of putting together events that colleges could join, because this was true across different universities in the country, that everybody stopped and they're looking for what the next thing is. Can we still compete? What are we allowed to compete in? What can we compete in? And so we were just putting on as many events as we could just to get our students engaged and get their minds off of COVID and the fact they had to take online classes, which was not easy for a lot of students. This was a huge adjustment for everybody. And we just wanted esports to offer some kind of sense of normalcy back to their routine that they were in before all this hit. And so that's really what happened in the spring. Now, this summer, students went home. They got to take a break. Obviously, things are not quite where we were hoping they would be by this time of the year. And every university is talking about, what do we do now? And so we're in the exact same boat. And so we will be back on campus to start classes in a hybrid model where some students can be here, some will be online, and they'll rotate so we don't have too many people in a classroom. Same thing with the arena. We have a certain number of students. 30 people is our max we will have in our arena moving forward. Face masks will be a must. And I know I don't have mine on right now, but I'm the only one in here, so I'm okay. Face masks are a must on campus. I just yesterday ordered some plexiglass shields that go between each of our computer stations. So we have a hand sanitizer station right there. And so we have hand sanitizer, face masks are a must, we have plexiglass, and we limit the number of students and the amount of time in here. So all these things are in response to what we can do to, again, try to give our students that experience that they're looking for, the esports experience, by being in the arena, being able to connect to other people in a safe manner, because safety obviously is number one. And so, we've really tried to do everything we can to provide as safe and comfortable a place for our students to return, knowing full well that a month from now, 3 months from now, this all might change and we might go completely online again. And if we do, we readjust, right? But I think this is a valuable life lesson with what's going on for everybody about, hey, you got to go with the flow. You got to adapt. You got to be flexible in everything you do, whether it's taking classes, competing in esports, whether it's hanging out with your friends, all these things. It's a constant adjustment. And I can't imagine what it's like for students right now, because college was awesome. I loved all 4 years, well, counting master's and PhD, 8 years. I loved all 8 years of my collegiate experience. And to be honest, I would have hated to be completely online. I liked interacting with people and being there face to face, and our students are the same way. And so I feel for them. I feel sorry. So we're trying to give them the best experience we can while also keeping them as safe as we can. And so we think we have the mechanisms and the policies in place. But of course, it's constant adjustment. It's constant communication. And it's constantly just telling our students, you've got to work with us. You've got to meet us halfway. You've got to be flexible. We're trying to do the best we can in all facets of your collegiate experience. And we totally understand that this is not what you signed up for or anticipated when you came to college. It's not what we signed up for either. This is not normal for any of us. And so we're all in it together. And that's a common phrase we keep hearing is we're all in it together from High School Musical. I could sing and dance, but you really don't want me to do that. So I think that it's a constant adjustment, but I think we have a good plan. So we're safe, we're ready to go. We'll be in person to start, and hopefully we can stay there and get that vaccine sooner than later.
Well said. Well said. Instills confidence in me, I guess I'd say. So, jumping back into this, this whole world, right? Was there any advice that you were given before you started from the ground up, started building this that, you think was very helpful?
Ooh, there was some, but there wasn't a lot. I really felt like I was on an island at times because there weren't many people doing what we were starting to do. And so I had reached out to some of the leaders that I had known or talked to in the space and asked them, why did you start a program? How did you start it? How much equipment do you need? I'm not a tech guy by nature. I play video games, but I don't know the inner workings of like a computer or how to build a computer or networking or any of that stuff. I'm a marketing, event management, revenue generation kind of guy. I'm not that tech side. So I relied on people to tell me, how can we set this up? What equipment do we need? How do we stream these things? What is going to give our students the best quality experience? And so, yeah, I definitely relied on experts in the space and people that had programs like at Robert Morris, Kurt Melcher, fantastic guy. From UCI, Mark Deppy, he's awesome to talk to out there. And so people like that are so big in the space. And then joining NACE really provided me a network of people that had just started in the space. And we were all in it together because we're trying to figure out, hey, what chairs did you get? Who did you use for that? Hey, what kind of desks did you get? What kind of monitors? All these questions that are hard to answer by yourself. But if you're in it at the same time with other people, you can bounce ideas off one another to ask them, hey, what did you go with? Who did you use? What was that experience like? And so people at NACE, the executive director, Michael Brooks, fantastic individual. So he helped a lot too. And so, yeah, I relied on a lot of people external to Shenandoah. But as far as people here at Shenandoah, there really wasn't much, in terms of help. The president just told me, yeah, go with it. Go with what you think is best. I'm like, oh, I don't know what's best. And so, it was great to have that flexibility and that openness, but it also made it difficult because then it's like, ooh, I'm really kind of by myself here making decisions for the good or the bad. Something goes wrong, it's on me. Something goes great, yeah, it's also on me. But you got to be careful about that stuff. And so just having the flexibility, but also relying on people that have been there and done that a little bit at least, just to hear from them was great and that's what we constantly do today is we keep helping new individuals come up with how to start these programs. And the esports industry is a really healthy industry in that we like helping each other for the sake of esports in general. Yes, it's competitive, not only on the screen and in matches, but also, student recruitment, trying to bring students to your university. You want the best gamers to come to your school so you can compete on the national level. But at the same time, people in esports see it as an opportunity to help grow the ecosystem that is really fragile. It's on a bubble that we can't let it burst. And so growing this organically and relying on each other has been huge. And it's been great working with other people in esports because they genuinely, for the most part, want to help each other out. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of help and I've needed that help tremendously to get where we are. And I'm just trying to pay that forward to the next people and the next ones and the next ones so we can continue down this road.
In the small time I have spent learning about this world of esports, I absolutely agree with everything you said. Everyone is just hand in hand. Like,
yeah,
so let's rise up together, right?
Yep.
So you're probably the perfect person to ask about this. But how does esports and academics interweave at Shenandoah?
Yeah, very intentionally they interweave. And so because, we see esports and competitive and on the academic side as working hand in hand to provide that high quality experience that you can't get other places. You don't have to be in the major to be on the team. You don't have to be on the team to be in the major. We have plenty of people competing that are studying, biology or nursing or musical theater. We have plenty of people in the major that want nothing to do with playing video games, but they want to work in the industry just because they like the industry and the passion around it. And so they intertwine in that our students in the major will help put on events for our competitive team. So they're getting experience doing event management, doing marketing, doing the streaming, the content creation, doing the broadcasting, all of those skills that are needed in the esports industry. Our students in our major, the academic side, are getting that experiential learning, which is incredibly important. Classroom learning is fine and it's great, but there's no substitute for actually getting your hands on doing things, which was one of the big things for building this arena was our students can come in here to learn how all of this works and goes hand in hand to put on an event. We have an esports advisory board where we rely on people in the industry from Team Liquid, Evil Geniuses, the Washington Justice, Play Versus, NACE, to tell us what are the skills you think students should have by the time they graduate? How do you think they should get those skills? And the resounding universal answer was experiential learning. They have to get out and do, not just sit in a classroom and learn and talk. And so that we've taken that to heart. And so again, the academic side, they help our students put on events and do things for them. And in turn, the competitive team, they're like, oh, this feels like a legit experience now. It feels like I'm really belonging to a legitimate esports experience where I have commercials about me. I have intro videos, they have highlight reels about me. I get to put on, it's so it feels really cool. And they get social media exposure. They get on Twitch, they get on YouTube, of course they're on things like Instagram and all those other things too. So, they go hand in hand very, very intentionally, and they work together all the time in all different kinds of capacities. And I think that's really important because you have to use esports in higher education as an educational opportunity. And again, the experiential learning is second to none. And so by working and having a competitive team here, we have kind of an in-house experience that all of our students can get experience working with them in a number of different ways. And that's just what we do here. There's other experiential learning opportunities that we have with internships, talking to professionals. We went to South Korea back in December when it was still safe to work in an international esports event out in South Korea. And some of our competitors went and some of our majors went. Again, it was open to anybody to go just to get that experience and that global kind of competencies. And so, yeah, academics and the competitive side, they go hand in hand. They intertwine in a number of different levels, a number of different ways. And it's very intentional, only to benefit all students at the university.
What about, and that all sounds amazing, what about the students who aren't a part of the major and aren't a part of the competitive team? Is the arena open to them? Is there opportunities for them to be, involved?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. The arena is a public space. We don't we do lock the doors because there's a lot of equipment in here. We don't want walking away, but it's open to anybody across campus and in our community to come and hang out and just be part of this. One of the things we wanted in our arena was community space. We wanted lounge area where we have couches and tables for people to just hang out at between classes, after classes, before practice, all those things. Any student can come in here and just hang out and be a part of the experience. As far as like competing, we have 5 varsity teams and 2 club teams. So the varsity teams: Overwatch, Rocket League, League of Legends, Smash Brothers, and Valorant. The club teams will be CS:GO and Fortnite. The club teams have to work around the varsity schedules, but they're still allowed to use the equipment to compete in tournaments on our equipment, as long as it doesn't interfere with the varsity teams. And we tell our students all the time, yes, if you're passionate about another game, Rainbow Six Siege, we don't have a club or a varsity team, but if you're passionate about it, come and play it in the arena. We'll find you competitions, but use our equipment. We want our arena used all the time. We want exposure. We want foot traffic in here. And so I tell students all the time, there's a place for you in here if you just want to play casually, if you want to have like a club team, if you want to be on the competitive team and try out for the varsity team, if you just want to see what it's like to run an event and just hang out in this space and not play games, but just help run an event. Yes, come hang out with us. We have an esports experience for professionals student club set up where they don't play any games, but they bring in industry professionals to do guest lecturing and speak to them about opportunities in the space. And so anybody that has any interest in gaming or esports at any level at Shenandoah, we want to come be part of the program because these are different experiences and viewpoints about what we're doing. And that helps us grow and reflect on the things that we currently do and how we can get better to really include as many students as possible. And so I think that it's a really healthy program and outlook that we have. It makes it kind of tough because then we get an influx of people trying to get in the arena and trying to, here's a thought, here's a thought, here's a thought. I'm like, oh, okay, we're scattered. We're all over the place. But it's okay because I like hearing these different ideas because I don't have all these ideas. There's no way I could. And so it's great hearing these different perspectives. But absolutely, any student at any level is allowed in the arena to come and hang out with us, see what we're doing. We invite the high schools to come in. We invite the Kiwanis and Rotary clubs to come in and see what we're doing. And when you get, and I don't know if I can use the term boomers. When you get boomers in here, it's really awesome to kind of see them like, what is this? And you can educate them about what esports is and what it offers to students. And their mindset totally changes about what their perceptions of gaming were. And so by bringing in community members too, it's a really healthy, holistic view about how we involve everybody in what we're doing.
Absolutely. That sounds great. I think that compared to the other interviews we've done, very few have been educationally based, and you being one of the most well established, I would say. So I'm interested to know, what do you think you've gotten right about the competition aspect of it all? I mean, from what you've learned, I guess
Yeah.
everyone has room for improvement, right? But what do you think you've nailed so far?
I think we've nailed the student participation. I think we've nailed the fact that we just want to offer an opportunity for those that are interested in competing. And when we started the program, we went to what the students wanted to play. We didn't say, "Hey, we're starting a League of Legends team. Who can play it?" We went and said, "Hey, what games do you play? What do you want to play to build it?" And so we've got a lot of participation by going off of student interest that was there and established at the university already. And that's really helped us because then we don't have games that we're struggling to find people to play, like Smite. We just can't find Smite players. And so we're not going to say that's our varsity team and we need to recruit for it because there's no student interest here for that. And so I think that we've gotten some things right. I think our competition space is great. I love having a stage that has 12 computers on it for competitions and practices. It's not the arena is not aesthetically pleasing yet because I wanted functionality first, where we could get in here, get our students playing and competing and hanging out together to to build that community before it looked pretty and we had all the flashing lights and everything. So we're working on that side of it, and so certainly I think that we've let the program grow organically, in that we've gone, started small, let it kind of grow, get some momentum going, and we didn't just let it become an explosion where we have, let's have this team and this team and this team and do that and do this. Because when you try to do too much at once at first, it's not high quality across the board. You're going to lose that quality because you're focused on quantity instead. And so we really wanted to start on quality, establishing a program that was a healthy environment that students could feel comfortable and safe and they enjoyed, and they could still be students that were doing other things like playing intramural sports and competing on their soccer team or football team if that's what they came here to do. And so I think we've gotten it right where the student experience is really paramount to what we do. The competition, we're pretty good in Rocket League. I think I would say we're in the top 10% of schools in the country for Rocket League. But I think for other games, yeah, we're not that good, but it's okay because we have participation and they're growing and they're learning things. So I think we've gotten the participation part right. But there's certainly room to grow in other areas.
So let's say that I am one of your varsity players. What does my week, my what do I look like when I'm going through what's required of me?
Well, you're maintaining a 2.5 GPA at a minimum. You're going to class and you're not being toxic. Those are some of the things that we require. So we make them all sign a contract at the beginning of the year, to not engage in any kind of toxic behavior, whether it's on Discord or whether it's in their voice chat or anything. That is immediate grounds for removal. If there's any kind of toxicity or bullying or anything going on. 2.5 GPA is what we require as our minimum. Of course, we want higher, but we understand that not all students are going to be at that level. So 2.5 GPA. Class is first and foremost the most important thing here. Going to class is also important. So attendance checks, we do attendance. So beyond that, beyond going to class, as a varsity player, you're engaging in about 10 to 12 hours a week of scheduled practice time, at least. If sometimes we get up towards 15 to 20, depending on the season and what tournaments are coming up and those kind of things. But we're looking at 2 to 3 hours a day for practice, that you're working with a coach on either VOD reviews, you're going over strategy as a team meeting, or you're on the computers. You're actually getting in there scrimmaging in other schools or each other, doing inter-squad scrimmages. So you've got that scheduled practice time. But then outside of that scheduled practice time, you're expected to put in another 10 to 15 hours a week on your own or with other players on the team, where it's not with the coach, but it's that unscheduled practice time. Because in our arena, we have 20 computers. We can't have every team in here at all times because we don't have enough computers. And so we do require that out of the arena practice time, that you get that work in on your own, whether it's in the arena in the morning between classes or at home or on somebody else's PC. And so there's that practice time. That's required of everybody. And then beyond that, it's competitions. You're expected to show up before competitions. You're expected to go, if you're on the starting roster, to be present for warm-ups for the competition, for debriefing afterwards. Depending on the game, will depend on what night of the week they're expected to be here. And so that's obviously what you're here to do, is compete. And so you want to be a part of that as well. But as a varsity member, we get a jersey for all our varsity members. We also get them some warm-up attire, so they can wear it around. Gamers love merch, and so we try to do the best we can to provide the merch that we can here. but we also give them access to the arena at all times. We sit down with them to see, what their thoughts are about how we're doing things. So that one-on-one feedback is really important. But that's kind of the typical week, is that you're practicing, 2, maybe 3 hours a day here in the arena. You're doing some on your own. You're going to class. You're going to play intramural sports. You're going to do your other sport or activity. And that's pretty much it for what we require. And then you obviously compete on whatever night of the week that you have competitions or tournaments.
Absolutely. Very informative. I feel like I could be a player right now. Probably not. I'm not that good. And you've talked about multiple aspects of things that are coming in the future, right, that you're looking to do. But I guess as Shenandoah continues to grow in this area, what do you think that next piece is to the program, if that makes sense, if you can quantify that?
Yeah. I think we want to keep getting our numbers up. We on the academic side, we're growing very quickly. We're offering new academic programs this year that we didn't last year by adding some coaching certificates, graduate online certificates. We have a new MBA concentration for graduate students, as well as the undergraduate majors and minors. So we added new programs to attract more students on the academic side. So I think what I want on that side is more partnerships in the industry as we continue to grow internationally and domestically. So working with other schools around the world, we have partnerships already with people in China, South Korea, South Africa, Finland, Sweden, England, France, and Canada. And so we want to give international opportunities to our students to travel to these other universities to grow their network, to meet other students. That's just kind of tough right now in the world of COVID. And so travel is going to be put on hold for like a year, which is unfortunate, but necessary. So we'll look to grow that, as we get through COVID and get these vaccines and are able to travel more. I want to grow those international experiences for our students and to bring other students from other countries here to the U.S. to see how we do things, because the U.S. operates very differently than other countries for esports. And so I want to bring those students here to see what it's like here too, to grow their experiences, grow their network of people. So I want to get more partnerships, more internships with companies, more job opportunities with our students that are coming into the program. So developing that side. On the competitive side, I want to get more computers. That's first and foremost. We're working with some companies to get some laptops, gaming laptops right now, to not only kind of supplement what we have with our desktop PCs, because we can use our laptops on other tables and people can use those as kind of supplementary training things when they're not in practice times. But also we have an esports arena that we can take on the road. We have scaffolding that we set up to run events at high schools or convention centers. That's a 20 by 20 foot structure by about 11 feet high that we hang TVs on. We hang lights and sound systems and fog machines. We take our computers on the road and we run events, and then we break it all down and bring it back here. But bringing PCs on the road is not always the best thing to do. So by having laptops, much safer, much easier to travel with. And so they would serve a lot of purposes here. So we want to grow and get more computers, to have more computers for people here on campus to practice with and compete with, but also to take on the road to run events on the road so our students can keep getting those experiences and developing those skills they need when they graduate. But on the competitive side, yeah, we want to get better at Rocket League. I really want to compete at Rocket League. I think that's kind of our bell cow, that we're going to ride that one until it dies. So we're really trying to recruit hard for that. We want to grow League of Legends. We want to grow Overwatch a little bit to get better, but also just have more students competing in there. I want to see where Valorant goes. I don't know. Nobody really knows how Valorant's going to work this year. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm excited for it because we had a great CSGO team and a lot of them transitioned to Valorant. So I think that'll be good. But I would love to have more programs here, more games that we can offer, but I need more computers and I need more staff. I need more coaches. And so we're working on getting more funding for coaches, working on funding for those computers, working on more partners that we can have for the academic and competitive space. So it's all about, just continuing to grow and get better and finding what is going to help our students on the competitive and academic side moving forward.
Absolutely. So here's the big question for you.
Uh-oh.
What does this whole thing look like in 3 to 5 years? Esports, collegiate esports,
Ooh.
The industry, in your best guess?
I think it's all gone. No, I'm kidding. That'd be terrible. Jeez. No, if I knew exactly where it was going, I could be a rich guy, right? I could make a lot of money because it's growing so fast and it's moving so quickly in so many different areas that nobody really knows where it's going. I think on the professional side, I think we'll get to a plateau. I think we'll get to a point that it kind of levels off. You can't sustain this growth that's been going through. It's just not possible. So I think it's going to level off, which is a good thing. It's a healthy place for the industry to be, in that it's going to become more mainstream as people. It's going to be more accepted culturally. It's something that, hey, we can still watch competitions when other sports aren't going on. I think COVID, in a strange, dark way, has helped the growth of esports and acceptance of esports a little bit, which is an unfortunate way to do it, but I'm glad to see it grow. So I think it's going to continue to grow and become more mainstream on things besides Twitch and YouTube. I think we'll see it more on ESPN. I think we'll see it more on things like Disney XD or ABC. So I think we'll see it more in those more kind of traditional cable outlets or streaming outlets besides just YouTube and Twitch. And so I think the industry will grow and get to kind of a level off area. I think these franchise-based models are going to continue to kind of be strong, whether it's the Call of Duty League, League of Legends, Overwatch. I like that model. I think it's a good model to have to bring in that fan base. And so I think we'll see that continue to get better. We'll see more home stands and kind of home matches and going on the road and traveling, which is exciting because it's going to mirror traditional sports a lot. I think that an area of esports that's going to grow a lot is the kind of the exercise science, nutrition, the injury rehabilitation area, the medical side of esports is, I think, going to be a huge, huge part of esports the next 3 to 5 years, because people are starting to realize that what you put in your body has an impact on your performance. The way that you train, the way that you go about your daily lifestyle has an impact on your performance and your long-term health lifestyle. So I think we're going to get more and more into this side of esports with the research, with what the nutritionists, the trainers, the fitness side, and I think it's really good for the industry to make sure that we're keeping our players, whether professionals, collegiate, high school, we're keeping our players safe and healthy as much as we can, and educating them that, hey, drinking Red Bull, right before a match might not be the best idea, and here's why it's not the best idea. Not just that it's not, but why it's not. So I think that that's going to be a really big part of esports for the next 3 to 5 years. I think the collegiate side is going to continue to kind of get more regulated. Right now it's the Wild West, where there's all these different companies trying to put their kind of flag into esports at the collegiate level. So I think it's going to settle down. I think we're going to find a groove. It's going to settle down. It's going to get more structured and regulated, which is a good thing. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I think it's a good thing. I think the competitive balance will get better. We don't offer scholarships here at SU for esports because we're a D3 NCAA school where no activity gets scholarships. But we have to compete against some schools that offer full ride scholarships. That doesn't go well. Our team has no chance. So it'd be nice to kind of get these levels of competition like the NCAA has for Division I, Division II, Division III, because it helps with that level playing field. It helps that competitive balance, and that's good for everybody, because our students, when they see that we got to play somebody like Maryville, they're like, are you kidding me? They have full ride scholarships for esports. We have no chance. And it's not a fun experience then. I think high school esports is going to continue to get bigger. I think middle school esports will get bigger as we continue to go. It's that logical progression down the chain. And I think there'll be more cultural acceptance. I think that, again, there's just not as much cultural acceptance now for esports. But 3 to 5 years from now, there will be a lot more. And I know that's not a long time, but I think we'll see a lot more people being like, yeah, it's okay, because esports is more than just playing video games. It's like playing football. You're learning skills that will benefit you outside of football. And so I think we'll get there, and that's only going to help the industry at all levels be more successful. So I see it worldwide. I see it in the Olympics. I think it'll be in the Olympics in 2028 in LA. If I had to guess, it's going to be a sports simulation, which is unfortunate. I'd rather it be something like a League of Legends. I think it could be Rocket League. I think that'd be awesome to see Rocket League in the Olympics, because it kind of blends the line of sports simulations versus these more traditional esports, if you will. It's not FIFA, it's not Madden, it's not 2K. I think I'd love to see Rocket League. It's not violent at all. People can understand it, and so that's what I would love to see, is Rocket League as an Olympic sport. LA 2028. I'm starting the campaign now.
2028. I'll keep you to it.
Yeah.
So, I think that you're in a very interesting position to answer this question as well, of what kind of career advice would you give to students who are looking to make this their career? Speaking as someone who is working both academically and competitively.
Work your butt off. I think it's going to be, you've got to work. You've got to take advantage of opportunities that come your way, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. Not everybody can volunteer to work with Team Liquid at an event. Not everybody can work with the Washington Justice at an event. I would love if they could, but they can't do that every time. Sometimes it's going to a high school to run a small tournament of 10 people at a high school. Students might not see that benefit, in the long run, but that helps them grow and get something on their resume that's experiential learning. 'Cause I tell students all the time, you've got to get these experiences, like I talked about earlier, that are hands-on, that you got to build your portfolio. You're growing your network. Every single one of the students that comes here for the program has business cards made during their freshman year, so that when they're going and running events, whether it's on a large scale or small scale, they're handing out business cards and growing that network and following up on emails and phone calls and Discord messages, because your network is everything when you graduate. You've got to have a strong portfolio and you've got to have a good network, because those are the things that will help you get a job in esports. Another thing I tell students is, tell me what you want to do. Find an example of a job that might interest you, because I don't want you coming here saying, I want to work in esports. Okay, there's a billion different kind of jobs in esports. I need to know exactly where your focus is going to be so I can help you get there. If I don't know what part of esports you want to get into, it's hard for me to get you the experiences that will help you get to that level. But if you can kind of narrow down where the area is you want to focus in and work in when you graduate, the year after you graduate, 5 years after you graduate, 20 years after you graduate, it helps us build a plan of those experiences we can get you, the classes we can have you take, the people we can introduce you to get to that level. Because without that, I just don't know. And so I tell students that you need to focus. You need to give me some examples of what you want to do. You need to volunteer for things. You need to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because you need to try things you've never tried before. Get in front of a camera, get behind that broadcast desk, just so you understand what that's like for the people that have to do this as a job. And so I want them being uncomfortable in everything they're doing, so that they're used to doing that and stepping up and taking advantage of a situation. And so I want students that are going to work hard. They have to work hard. If they expect to go to class, get an A, and then not do anything else and try to get a job, I'm not going to send them a good recommendation. They're not going to get a job that I'm helping them with. Those students that are working their tails off, that are here after hours, after class, getting decent grades at least, or good grades in class, I want them to get good grades. But at the end of the day, the grades aren't going to matter for their job. What's going to matter is what else they did besides go to class. And so I want students that are going to be willing to do those extra things when they do that. So that's the biggest career advice I have, is get all these different experiences, grow the network, be comfortable being uncomfortable, and just get ready to work, because it's long hours and it's exhausting, but it's a lot of fun too.
Wise words. I can't help but agree. So now I'm going to ask you for advice for us specifically. We love having people with different perspectives on here, and you've had a very different perspective yourself and have given us tons of great information. Who are 2 other people, organizations that you think are out there that we should get in contact with and talk to, that would be able to offer us information like you've been able to?
Yeah, let me see. What are some good ones? The guy that we work with at the Washington Justice, his name is Grant Paranjape, and he's one of the smartest guys I know. He has his undergrad's in neuroscience. He got his master's, the youngest ever master's MBA student from Tulane. He was a 30 under 30 for the esports industry, and he worked at Splice, and now he was with the 2K team out of Washington, and now he's with the Washington Justice. He's also going to teach a class for us in the fall. And so he's a guy that wants to give back. He's such a good guy, but he's so smart and hardworking and driven. I think his perspective would be awesome, because he kind of understands the academic side, but he works on the professional side, has done a lot of positions on the professional side, that I think he could offer a wealth of information to really anybody for esports. So Grant would be absolutely fantastic. Another one is Dr. Mark Williams. He's a guy that works a lot at HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, and helps get esports going at HBCUs, but develops it from the academic standpoint first and the competitive standpoint second, because he also understands the benefit and the opportunity that esports can offer to these students in an educational capacity. And he's serving an underrepresented population that we've got to see more diversity in esports on both the racial, the ethnic, and the gender side. And so he's really working hard to get more students that don't have the same opportunities as everybody else, and they're underrepresented, the opportunity to get into esports, to understand what it is to work in that industry. And that idea of diversity is only going to benefit all levels of esports by bringing in different backgrounds and perspectives from people that are underrepresented, that we have to get participation. We have to bring them into our programs. And that's something I'm going to do here, is bring more students of color, bring more females into our program as much as we can, because again, that's only going to benefit them and the program in the long run. That's a win-win situation. Why wouldn't I try to do that? And Mark Williams, is such an advocate for that space. And I think that he could really talk about the benefits that esports can offer to the underrepresented population in a way that really nobody else I know can. And so I think he would be absolutely fantastic to also have on here.
Yeah, those sound like amazing recommendations. But that's about all we have. That's a wrap for this interview session. You have offered us a ton of great information. So Joey, we want to thank you for your time, and thank you for working in this esports space with all of us. Stay safe, stay well, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs is right. I'll say that for Georgia and for Butler.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Doug.